gentlemen, it is, what day is it anyway? It is Tuesday. It's been that kind of week. Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. I'm here with Tim Moody from Pan Global Resources. It's a company I've been following for a couple of years now. Pan Global is listed on the venture, symbol is PGZ, also listed on the bulletin board in the US, PGNRF. Pan Global has been hard at work on a new VMS discovery, volcanogenic massive sulfide discovery in the Iberian Pyrite Belt in Spain. Those of you that know this deposit type know sort of the Pyrite Belt's kind of the mother lode when it comes to this deposit type. A lot of the world's most significant, not to mention most profitable VMS mines, the largest long-lived ones, are in the Pyrite Belt. Essentially the same rocks that Tim's drilling right now. And Tim did a pretty big financing before he started this drill program, but I know he's expanded the program. There are 2 drill rigs still going, so I think the program's up like 50% above in terms of meterage, but what they're originally talking about is still going. How do things stand right now on the bank account side now that you've expanded the program, Tim?
Yeah, Eric, we've seen a trickle of warrants being exercised since the last financing. We've now added about another $2 million through the exercise of the warrants since the financing. So
right.
About a week ago, we had about $4.5 million in the bank. So we're about the same position we were when we started this drill program. So we're in good shape at this stage.
Okay, well, I mean, that's great news because the message, obviously, I think you're up to what, 4,000 meters, give or take now, I guess.
Yeah, we're really, 3 to 3,500 meters
right.
so far, and we'd set out to drill 3,500 meters, 25 holes. We'll end up now drilling probably an extra 1,000 meters on top of that. Probably similar number of holes or close to it. So yeah, having the extra money just gives us that extra flexibility, particularly after what we've seen with the new geophysics.
Yeah, because I mean, it sounds to me like even after what you've done so far, you've got enough to do that much drilling twice over, still there. So anyone hoping for a near-term financing is going to be disappointed, I'm afraid. You're going to have to go to the market just like the rest of us. Now, before we move along, and this is obviously a drill plan that we're looking at here, shows essentially all the holes that have been reported to date. One thing that's important to point out, and maybe Tim, you can run your cursor over it. There's a road that runs through the middle of this map. You can kind of see it in the background. It's sort of southwest northeast trending road, and the reason why that road's important, and I mean, I've known about this for a while, but Tim, I don't think it was mentioned in the last release, but just before that release, a week or two before, Pan Global finished negotiating with the farmer that owns the land to the south of the road. And that is, in fact, I mean, if you take a look at this drill plan, you can see it's kind of obvious. The drill holes are going close to the road on the north side, but not crossing it. And now that you have access to that, I mean, I know you haven't pushed the drilling that far yet in that direction, but I think that was a big part of the reason why right before you put out the last release, you did this expanded IP survey, because you were in fact able to do it. And that IP survey is very significant in terms of where you think this is going to go and what you think the scale potential is.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. And we'd been talking with the farmer to the south for some time, and it was a breakthrough. We managed to reach an agreement, and within 2 or 3 days we had the geophysical crew on the ground. So and it's really transformed our understanding of the potential here, and given us some more reason to be optimistic about the potential going forward. And I can show you a bit more about that as we go through it, Eric. But yeah, it's just meant that before we were doing pattern drilling here, and then we did some step out holes, really as close as we could get to the south, but knowing that we're still quite a way, we're getting deeper as we move this direction. So now we can, with the new geophysics, we can now start to target up dip here and hopefully find some more high grade further along strike.
So these plates that were just kind of sitting flat, they would come to surface as we go south. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, so these are two sort of partly overlapping plates. The
Right.
magenta ones are slightly above, about 40, 50 meters above the yellow one. So this comes to surface, the mineralization comes to surface about the southern edge of this magenta color area.
Okay.
But as we go this way, we're getting further away from the edge where the mineralization would potentially subcrop.
Okay.
So from here to where it might daylight, we're talking 250, 300 meters.
Right. And these are all pretty flat farm fields, so you don't have the advantage of really being able to map this stuff in. There's really not much outcrop. You're pretty much going with the geophysics and the drilling to chase it.
Yeah, there's a couple of little windows just in here, and there's a little bit up further north, but a little bit in this river. But otherwise, it's all soil covered, which is the reason why it wasn't discovered before. I mean, the Romans were excellent prospectors. Yeah, they found the copper in the small bits of volcanic sticking through along the edge of the river here, and but over here they couldn't see any rocks, so they didn't have anything to go by. So that's our good fortune, really.
Right. And this map, but one thing worth pointing out, this map, I mean, you can see it's color coded. The collars, the yellow collars are ones that are not reported yet. Those are ones that were drilled since the last release, and you're up to, I think, 23 and 25 is what you're drilling now. So we're coming up to sort of 10 hole. I guess there's 8 or 9 or something in the lab, and the 2 rigs are still going.
Yeah, that's right. So we just finished hole 24 just in here today, and 25 was collared and is in progress at the moment. 23 is getting close to completion right now. That was our first hole south of the road. So no, it's a pretty interesting hole.
Okay, and do you want to just walk us through, because I know you feel like this IP that you just finished, even given that it was already pretty obvious you were onto something pretty real here. I've been pounding the table about this project for months, but the IP you feel is a real game changer. Can you walk us through why that is? What does it imply for scale and what the overall system might look like?
Yeah, all right. Well, but before I do that, I'll just show, just to put some context to the new results, this is those same downhole EM conductor plates looking down to the southwest. I've shown this slide before in other presentations. And these were the first 2 lines of IP that we did. In fact, our hole 2 was targeting an IP anomaly. Right. We didn't have any downhole EM at that stage, and hole 2 was the one that was really our discovery hole, 20 meters at 1.5 copper equivalent. So, and that, then we did the downhole EM and that geophysics, and that showed a conductor plate anomaly coincident with the IP anomaly, and importantly near the top of the IP anomaly. Right. So that, and this is the southern upper edge where the mineralization comes to near surface, and the copper coincides perfectly with the conductor anomaly and fits very well with the IP. So so it's we've got that to guide us. As we move this way, the geophysics was a lot further to the south, and we know it's open to this up dip, but we couldn't. The geophysics can't see that far up dip to see what's going on. So in terms of the IP, but yeah, that's just, if you can just hold that picture in your mind for a bit later. But anyway, this is a depth slice through the new IP. The original 2 lines were over here, right, and these are all new lines this way. This is just 150 meters below surface, one slice. As you go look deeper, the anomaly gets stronger to the east. So it's still open in this direction, and it's wide open in this direction as well. So that's about 1.4 kilometers from that edge of the page to this edge of the page. But what's really interesting is that the sort of light peak of the IP extends from this mineralization that we're hitting over here for about another 800 metres in this direction, and where it's just untested, where it's near surface. And that's really interesting to us.
And I think a couple of things worth mentioning. I mean, as my subscribers know, I'm not a geologist or geophysicist. I just play one on TV, but I've looked at millions of IP surveys over the years, and it's you know, I'm not sure how direct the correlation is. I'm pretty sure there is some direct correlation because of some of the copper grades you've hit, especially your really high grade stuff. But these chargeability levels are really strong. These things go up to 60, 70, 80 millivolts per volt, which is, I mean, that's some of the strongest chargeability numbers I've ever seen, actually. It's really impressive how strong those things are. And they're big. And I think it's also worth pointing out, you know, keep in mind when you're looking at this map, you're looking at a plan. So it's a specific depth slice of the IP survey. You think of a specific horizontal slice. So when you see it, when you're looking at the screen, you're saying, okay, well, it's trending off to the east. It's kind of going purple, yellow, and it's kind of getting really skinny. But in fact, that's just an effect of the depth slice, right, Tim? I mean, when you look at deeper depth slices, this really strong anomaly keeps going. It's just getting deeper, so you don't see it in the shallower slice.
Yeah, that's the indication, and we know from the old Exxon IP that this continues another kilometre. So and it's open this direction as well. So yeah, it's sort of like the Loch Ness monster sort of emerges in places and dives a bit deeper elsewhere. So yeah, but yeah, if we did the 250 metre depth slice, you'll see more purple in this direction.
And part of the reason part of the reason I've been pounding the table about this thing for months is over the years, I think I'm following 2 or 3 now, maybe. Yours was before the other 2, but over the last 25 years, I've followed a lot of good VMS stories. And one thing I know about VMS is, I mean, they're complex systems, but they do have well-known zoning. You don't know what happens after they form and they get pushed around and faulted and stuff. But the thing about VMS is because the massive part of the description is important because it's fairly high density material and you can pack a lot of tons into a small space. And that's part of the reason why I was getting, as you were growing these EM conductor plates, I was getting pretty jazzed up because I could see we were getting to a size that was, this has got room to hold a lot of tonnage. And it was a question that came up. I know a lot of your shareholders, a lot of my subscribers kept asking, like, what does this mean in terms of scale? And I really like this slide you put together for your latest presentation because it tries to get that across. And keep in mind when you look at this slide, the two outlines you see on the right side, those are existing successful mining operations, and they are the same scale. Like that, he didn't shrink those down to make them fit to La Romana. That is the actual, life-size scale of these deposit slices that he's showing us.
Yeah, and in case of Los Frailes, that's a thicker part of the deposit as well.
Right.
So much of the up dip part of it's much thinner than this. So yeah, so I think it was good finding this picture. It tells us a couple of things really. One is that we've got plenty of room here for something of pretty decent scale.
Right.
And the second thing is that, and you can see this, and this is very typical of most of these big VMS deposits, and just about anywhere, I think, but particularly in the Pirate Belt, is these high grade pockets within this bigger body of mineralisation, and they can hold a lot of copper. They're not very big, and you can see the red bits here. I've just pulled them out of this body just so you can see them easier. But there's 5 or 6 separate concentrations of high grade copper. So they're the jewels within this bigger system. So they're about the dimensions of those, a couple of 100 meters long, going a few meters to 10, 20 meters thick, and similar dimension down depths, a couple of 100 meters down depth. So so these high grade centers, we think we've got one here, obviously. Now the challenge is, can we find some more of these as we go along this, following this IP anomaly that we've got now pretty well nailed down. So and that's what's really exciting for us, and particularly seeing the strength of the IP anomaly as well is really, really encouraging for us. So, so I think we've got two obvious targets here. One is a sort of bulk mineable thing, it's a combination of stockwork and the other mineralisation, like you have at Los Frailes, like you have at Asnocoya. You know, nearly half of the Asnocoya ore deposit was stockwork mineralisation. So, so we've got a sort of bulk target, and then we've also got the high grade, these high grade centres within this thing. So that's the challenge. They're the prizes to find these sweet spots within this, pretty big system.
And this is, I know this is a conceptual target that's pretty important to you. Can you kind of explain how does this La Romana conceptual section?
Yep.
How does it come out of Las Cruces? Like how does that? Why is that so important?
Yeah, so I thought again these sections are all at the same scale.
Right.
So this is a cross section through Las Cruces, and it shows the stockwork in the green, the massive sulfide here, the primary massive sulfide, which grades about 1.1% copper. It has some high grade pods within that as well. But what's really interesting here is that the intersection of the massive sulfide and stockwork with the weathering zone beneath the cover has produced this tremendous enrichment. So you've gone from 1.1% copper, 1% copper in the stockwork as well, to 6% copper in the chalcocite enrichment blanket. So that's pretty interesting, given that what we're seeing here is that we think the IP, and this is line 4. If I just go back, it's just running through just here.
Okay.
It's typically the stronger the IP, that it's indicating potentially the stronger concentrations of sulfide.
Right.
So what we think this could be telling us, we know we've got stockwork in each of these 3 holes that we've completed. We've got results, obviously, hit massive chalcopyrite in holes 14 and 15, and in hole 19. We're waiting for results from that. Is that it's telling us that this could be even stronger stockwork. This could be the core of the stockwork system further up dip, associated with this big IP anomaly. So typically in the Pyrite Belt, if you're looking for the high grade part of the copper rich part of these big VMS systems, you look for the top of the stockwork, the core of the stockwork system, the base of the massive sulfide. So that's hence the conceptual target. We've got good reason to believe this is, this could happen. And this is the same, very similar juxtaposition of downhole EM anomaly. This is probably going to continue up dip, and a similar relationship to what we saw where we made our original discovery drill holes. So I think that's going to be the prize. Can we find another high sweet spot here, up dip, from where we've been intersecting massive chalcopyrite? These are spectacular grades. Not very thick, but 15% copper, really dense rock. That's telling us this system is capable of producing some really high grades. If that continues and gets better up dip here, we could really have something a real prize here. And
and
plenty of room.
This sort of uber high grade that you just hit, that's not supergene. That's primary sulfide, and it's probably worth pointing out in your section, you see that angled line, that's the conductor plate. And we've talked about this, and I've talked about it in past updates, but just for people who don't know the story, I mean, the way EM works, it can only see so far. It's basically a sensor that you run down the drill hole once you drill it. So the end of that, the upper end of that EM conductor, and the lower end for that matter, that doesn't mean that's how far the conductor goes. That's how far the equipment can see. And obviously, the working hypothesis is it's going to probably go all the way to surface and some ways to depth as well.
Yeah. No, certainly when we drilled hole 14, we did downhole EM, and that extended the anomaly east further, and extended a bit further south, down dip as well. It just couldn't see far enough up dip.
Right.
So there's no reason why. It's just too far away. We're talking a couple hundred meters or so to near surface here. So yeah, the plan now is to start to step up dip and get close to drilling this. So we've got, 3 targets, Eric. I think it's the sort of bulk volume, larger volume, lower grade target. We've got very thin cover. We know the mineralisation is coming near, almost to surface elsewhere in the system. And then we've got the high grade stuff as well. The really sweet spots that could be worth a lot of money. And this stuff we were hitting in this holes here is like $4,000 a cubic metre.
Right.
It's worth a lot of money. So, and then the third target is the enrichment zone. Yeah, could we have a zone of enrichment like they have at Las Cruces? We are seeing some indications of deeper weathering as we go further to the east. If you get the right sort of situation, lots of fracturing in the rocks, allow lots of groundwater and so on to move in, you could get some enrichment. We're seeing a bit of chalcocite in some of the holes anyway. So so that makes it's a pretty appealing target. Now we're pretty energized now after the new geophysics.
Okay, so what's big picture? You've got a long way to go, obviously, based on the IP. You got a long way to go to the east. That just sort of takes it the edge of La Romana, the property of the east. You're just waiting for the Spanish government to essentially to give it to you. The application's in. That gives you all that extra space to the east. One thing I think is worth mentioning, because I think it was on some of the earlier maps, but just in terms of the immediate area where you've been drilling, that black circle that's kind of between hole 19 and hole 22, that's an old, I think it was an Exxon hole, but that was a nice drill hole. I mean,
yeah, that was their best drill hole. It had nearly 5 meters of close to 3% copper. We don't know what's above or below that.
Right.
All you had was a summary intersection, and that was bang on coincident with the downhole EM conductor.
Right.
So it's probably an extension of this mineralization. So we know we got the massive sulfide in 3 holes in a row in this direction. We now drilled these 2 holes as well. So we know we've got good mineralization there. This is wide open in this area as well. So if we can prove that concept that I showed before for some near surface, high grade mineralization close to surface, that will be a great outcome for us.
And on the IP, you think you've got yet another target area to the north. The IP seems to kind of swing around there. It has a kind of sideways U shape to it. And you're thinking that's maybe just like a fault repetition or something like that, like more layers in that direction.
Yeah, I think it's there's only a little bit of rock sticking out of the river just up here, a bit of volcanics, but this is a fold and thrust belt, so it's probably a repetition of the sequence we're seeing here. That's the indication. So we'll look to now. In fact, we've just started this week some more geophysics, some more gravity, and we'll do some more electrical geophysics, more IP, and so on, and see if extend this, get some more information on it, and then we'll look to put a hole into this pretty early on. But if we start to see the alteration and hopefully some copper mineralization associated with this as well, then that just gives us a whole other target to go after.
And you'll drill a few more holes, and then you'll probably, I mean, certainly North America, everybody's had terrible lab slowdowns, and I know yours has slowed down a little bit too. So you'll have 10 holes in soon. So I guess you want to get a few more done and maybe let the lab catch up a little bit and sort of rework your models and update everything based on the logging and all that. Then
exactly. Put it all into 3 dimensions and catch up on all this information that we've been getting. But look, there's as you say, 8 holes are in the lab or will be at the lab now, and with another half a dozen holes, we'll be sitting there waiting for quite a lot of results. So yeah, we'd like to be able to absorb all the information that's coming from that, and then plan the next round, and look to yeah, we'll push out another half a dozen holes or so before Christmas, and then we'll look to have a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks break, and then come back and hopefully hit it hard again in the new year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, I mean, I'm a bit of a broken record when it comes to this company and this stock, but I'm going to say it again. You know, you gotta appreciate the scale of the map here, and appreciate that this is not, you know, these anomalies go a long way now. I mean, now that Tim and his crew have kind of done their work, and they've done, you know, they've put more layers of data into one area than I think anybody else had before them. And this has allowed them to start seeing this thing in 3D, and then you can start locking in pieces from, you know, older, you know, probably surveys with less power, less depth potential, but still you can start putting these pieces together. And when you do that, you're looking at this, you know, you know, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. For a VMS system, this is a big system. This is a very big system. You can see the low spreadalities, I think, is a great comparable just to get across the point. I mean, when you look at those grade contours, you can see there's faults running through the thing, stuff's being juxtaposed, lifted, dropped, shoved against each other. I mean, these things aren't simple. I mean, the grades aren't going to be the same in every hole. You know, your thicknesses and your grade are going to go up and down. But the important thing here is to find something with the system scale where you can build a lot of tonnage. And as you can see with the size comparable, there's lots of room to build lots of tonnage. And again, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again too. When you take La Romana and then you clamp on Al Angeles, which they're just waiting to get the approval for that concession to the east that they picked up. There's 5 or 6, or I don't know how many gravity anomalies that are pretty much the same scale as La Romana that they haven't even been touched yet. There's a lot of room for this to get bigger, a lot of room. And for the first time, really, since Tim started hitting this thing 2 years ago, the market's starting to get it. You're starting to get market appreciation. I mean, there's been stock rollover in the last little while. I think some of that's probably people exercising warrants. But you know, you've got way less warrant overhang. You've got no finance overhang. You got $4.5 million to play with this far into the program. I mean, you could drill this thing for a long, long time, not have to go back to market. I mean, I think this thing's in a great position. I think as shareholders, we just sit back and watch this thing get bigger and hope that the super gene works out, because that's, you know, I can remember from following the zinc project back in the day that became the Lundin mine. When they got into the super gene there, the drill holes were pretty impressive. And you've already got fantastic high grade, like way higher grade here, 15% copper. But yeah, it's like if you can find super gene up tip of that, that's where you start pulling just crazy drill holes.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times ahead. Yeah, we just got to drill the holes and keep doing the work. So
okay, and we
yeah,
should see another set of assays. And I mean, I know the labs told you they've slowed down, but whatever, 2-3 weeks, something like that. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yep. No, we'll just keep hounding them and seeing where the results are. But,
and you said there's more geophysics being done now as well.
Yeah, we just started some new geophysics. Yeah, I've got a little bit new results, which I'll hopefully put out pretty soon as well.
Okay. I mean, I think I hope that gets like the point across to people, because it is something that subscribers ask about, which is, you know, what is the scale potential? Like how big, you know, how do I make sense of this? How big can it be? I think this slide's a great comparable. I mean, it's very direct scale comparison. I mean, obviously the holes have got to get drilled, but I think it's obvious there's room here for this to be a very, very significant VMS resource. You know, congratulations to you and your team, Tim. I mean, I think you guys are doing a great job, and you know, the market's giving you some love. I mean, Pan Global's actually got one of the better looking charts this year, and I don't think you're done yet. I mean, I think the best is yet to come with this deal. So thanks for coming by and updating us. We'll maybe jump on again once you've got the new geophysics and another set of holes, if that kind of helps with our understanding of it. But you know, La Romana, Pan Global, PGZ, on the venture, you really want to be on this story. I've been saying that for a year, but I'm going to say it again. You really want to be on this story. Thanks very much, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.